Welcome to this webinar on remanufacturing. My name is Nina Boersma and I'm interviewing David Peck, remanufacturing expert from TU Delft.
Hi, Nina.
Hi, David. We're going to talk about remanufacturing and legislation. Is the law already up to speed on remanufacturing?
No. Remanufacturing is not new. Remanufacture goes on all over the place. It's fine. It's been doing that for decades. I think the question, and this is a bad thing to do, I'm going to rephrase the question slightly. Is the law optimal to support remanufacturing? And the answer is, and facilitate remanufacturing in a fair way to all stakeholders. The answer, I don't think it is yet. Why? Because it's not the widespread activity. So most legal focus is on manufacturing of new product in a linear economy. That's where the law focuses on. And there's constantly challenges and changes that go on within that world. Now we turn over to a rapidly, I hope, growing remanufacturing sector. And some of those laws that apply to the manufacturing, the linear economy, they're not going to translate very well to the remanufacturing situation. What do I mean? Let's give some examples. There may be issues around data. We know that it's going to be really interesting that there'll be a lot of data with use of product coming back and looping back in through the company. And there'll be all kinds of data. Maybe there's embedded data collection facilities on the product themselves. Maybe they're communicating, maybe they're passive. But in either which way, we start to get a lot of data. There's legislation that needs to be done on that to protect society and protect other companies and individuals. But it hasn't been done yet in the widespread way that it should be done given the growth of remanufacturing. That's one example. Another one that I often wonder about is who owns stuff. So we have a very clear set of ideas of who owns stuff in the linear economy with manufacturing. I own this, I sell it to you, you own it, you sell it to someone else, and then it goes into the waste stream. When we're moving and looping stuff around, and when third parties maybe want to do the remanufacturing or OEMs, the law is less clear. Who can use the brand name of different companies? What about the warranty issues? How does that all work? Who's responsible for the warranty? Is it the original equipment manufacturer or the third party? So all these things are now becoming into the fore. So I see a lot of work for lawyers and commercial lawyers, industrial lawyers, technical and engineering lawyers. They're all going to be involved in this, trying to answer these questions as we go forward.
Dave, in terms of waste, are there any issues around transboundary shipments?
Transboundary, yes, there are. We have a thing called the Basel Protocol. And the idea behind this is it's a legal framework. What we don't want in the world are products. Let's take electrical and electronic products. We don't want them going into the waste stream in Europe, being put in cargo containers, marked up as product for remanufacturing or something, going out to, say, Africa, not being used for remanufacturing, and children out on a piece of wasteland being told, your job today is to try and get as much copper out of this as you can. Okay, how do I do that? Well, you just burn it. Standing around breathing in all the fumes of what they're burning to try and drag out 50 cents of copper out of it. And that's their livelihood when we'd love to see them and their parents would love to see them and they would love to be in school. So we do not want illegal shipments of waste. Now, that's known as transboundary shipment of waste. It's illegal. It should not happen. It does happen globally, and it's a big problem. What we do not want to see is the movement of product for remanufacturing to add to that problem. However, what we may have done is we build up a set of rules and regulations with the best of intention, and then what it may be doing is constraining, confusing, and adding cost to try and do remanufacturing. So we may want to move things around the world or around Europe as well. Not such a big problem around Europe, but definitely when it leaves Europe and comes back into Europe again, that we need a smoother way of handling cores that are going to be remanufactured. So this is something that's an ongoing discussion at the European and the global level How do we ensure that we protect people in the world, that we don't dump waste on other economies, that it isn't handled and used properly, whilst at the same time freeing things up so that we can get the big benefits out of remanufacturing from all over the world. So yeah, that's a legal issue and a business issue that's being discussed.
Is remanufacturing a way to cope with future manufacturing-related directives?
So directives, you mean in the case of the European Union,
exactly.
They issue out legal guidelines to member states who turn that into law. That's the basic idea of a directive. And we have, as we know, an ambitious set of targets in Europe on reducing waste, radically reducing waste, taking it out. Is remanufacturing a part of that? It most certainly is. What remanufacturing does is it's a product life extension strategy. So it makes product last longer because it loops around, comes back through, is remanufactured, goes out into use, loops around, come back through, goes into use. The core product itself, the core as it's called, lasts way longer, maybe 10 times longer or whatever, 20 times longer, depends on the product. What that means is you haven't got the bulk of the product going into waste. So if it's widespread, there is less waste. So that will help. How much that will help and how this plans out, of course, these are big, again, big data and big modeling scenario stuff, and we have plenty of colleagues that are working hard on that to begin to give us a better picture on how that should work. The other question there is, well, does this all hang together? Is it done in a systemic, joined-up way? Well, I think it should be. I think there's a lot of opportunity to understand that a lot better, and we're building on it. We'll get there.
Thank you. Then my last question. What is the most unexpected bottleneck people tend to overlook?
In the field of remanufacturing?
In the field of remanufacturing.
So what's the thing that's the barrier? What's kind of stopping it?
If you could name one thing, what would that be?
Yeah, I think there's a big perceptual barrier that remanufacturing is really complicated to do and very difficult, and it's not mainstream business. But we do know how to do it. We know how to manufacture a new product. We know how to do remanufacturing. It shouldn't be that big a problem. One of the issues that pops into my head in this transition is investment. So you get companies needing a lot of money investment to set up new production and new activities. Now, investors have an automatic thing when they say, oh, it's something a little bit different, that means higher risk. And I don't think it is higher risk at all. So maybe that's a thing we need to work on, that we reduce the feeling that this is higher risk and investment flows in for companies who want to move into it. So maybe that's a bottleneck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So remanufacturing can be complex, but may not be so much different than business as usual. This was remanufacturing and legislation.